Brad Williams, Excel Prime.
How to arrange a pivot table. As you know, within Excel, when you have a tab inserted, pretty much means there's a lot of options available. So we'll hit this pivot table design feature. We've seen this color feature many times. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. Can we rearrange this thing? I don't know. Let's take a look. See, that just didn't look very good. We can change this to anything you want. And since we've been going sort of with this green look over here, let's take a look. How about up here? How about up here? Take a look. We're not getting much of a view here, are we? Let's just go with something like this. You get the idea. We can change this format. We can change the appearance if you'd like. We can band rows. We can band columns. We can change row headers, column headers, and row headers. We usually can band these. We can adjust this grand total deal here. We can go to grand totals. If you want it off, just turn it off. If you want to turn it back on for columns. Subtotals doesn't apply to this particular pivot table, but you can set subtotals on the rows or the columns. Do not show subtotals. Show all subtotals bottom of group. In other words, you can put one up top if there was space. Show all subtotals at top of group, bottom of group. You can report layout, so we can show in compact form. You can see that smushes it together a little bit. Go to outline form, show in tabular form, as it is now. Or we can go to repeat all items, do not repeat all. Go to blank rows, insert blank line after each item, remove blank item, so it doesn't apply. Just have a lot of variety here. We can go to the pivot table, analyze, go to show. We have field lists. Here's our field list that I pointed out earlier. You can turn it on, turn it off. Field headers over here. In K, we can shut off the field headers. And if we had plus minus buttons, we can hit this right here. To the far left, we have this option box. Well, let me point out, the name of this table is Pivot Table 2. The active field is salesperson. See what options are available. You can hit options. We're not going to cover all of this. For Pivot Table 2, you have layout and format, totals and filters, display, printing, data, alt text. If you want to go in and you want to change the formatting here, you can just hit right click. You want to change the values as a percentage of grand total, percentage of column total, percentage of row total. You can get running total in and more options. Right click, summarize as sum, count, average. If we want an average, just hit average. And we have an average just for here. If you want an average of both columns, hit summarize by average and you get an average of both. If you want remove average, summarize as sum, go back to sum. If you want to average, summarize by average. If you want the average, you go to summarize by sum. Let's see if we can get an average here. Summarize by average, summarize by max. You get the idea here? This is the pivot table. Customize this however you'd like. We'll go back to sum. You can also get to the pivot table option up here. When you right click any active cell within the pivot table, you have a pivot table option. Value field setting, show values as, summarized. And you saw what happened when we remove sum. It'll remove this entire column. You can sort up here by using this filter, or you can sort internally using this right click, and you can refresh from here. Remember I said you have to go up to this refresh button up here in the ribbon, right click and hit refresh. You can format cells and you can copy. If I have one word about pivot tables, it's experiment. Create a table, create a pivot table after your table, and then just play around with it. Go over here, turn everything off, grab any particular item and just drag it. Throw stuff in here and see what happens. You see what I just did? Here we have name by name, January, and red shirts. Salesperson Brendan sold 356 shirts, but Brian sold none, Daniel sold none, and Derek. I just pulled that stuff out of thin air. That looks like it tells a pretty good story. And that took 5 seconds. So have some fun, play around with pivot tables. You can build some sophisticated stuff here. We'll get into more details about pivot tables.
Brad Williams, Excel Prime, Williams out.